But there is another reference that is very important also to mention, and is the one that I'm going to use for this presentation, so that we can have an idea about what, first of all, what UNESCO prescribes as what is ethics literacy in AI. And as far as this competency framework for teachers is proposing, ethics literacy in artificial intelligence is the aim is to delineate the essential ethical values, principles, regulations, institutional laws, and practical ethical rules that teachers need to understand and apply. And this is very, very important because as society changes, the different ecosystems should also adapt and change to this more contextual analysis in a way that we are, as academics, aware not only of the expanding body of knowledge on the ethics of artificial intelligence, but also on the need to find and discuss their implications for education. So the aim here of this presentation is precisely to raise the awareness about what are the implications for education, not only of the use of artificial intelligence, but also how to use it in a way that respects the principles and the values that I have been speaking just in the beginning of the presentation. So what UNESCO proposes is a progression in terms of achieving this literacy in AI, focusing on ethics. So there is a first level that focuses on ethical principles, so to say, in a way that we not only know about what these principles are, but how to apply them in a context of education. There is another level of progression that is focusing on deepening these ethics of artificial intelligence, and another level or third level that is to create the ethics of artificial intelligence, and we are only able to co-create ethical rules if we are aware about the principles and about the way how to use it. So to say, what we mean by acquiring means what to acquire. The deepen perspective focuses on how I will apply it, meaning that safe and responsible use is at the stake. And the other dimension is how to co-create ethical rules so that the expectations of teachers, students, and of the community, the university community, is aware or is aligned with these ideas about principles, responsibility, and rules. So when we speak about the first level of development of ethics literacy, we are speaking about acquiring. And here you will find in the document a very useful guidelines regarding all these levels that I will be speaking in detail. And you will find here not only inspiration to include them in the curriculum, on how to include in the curriculum, but also on how, and also the expected learning outcomes, but also how to develop or to contextualize specific activities that will demonstrate attitudinal or behavioral changes regarding specific aspects. And it is very important when we are acquiring this ethics literacy to focus on not only in trying to understand how these principles could be implemented, but also what are the kind of issues or dilemmas, as UNESCO is proposing to discuss regarding, for instance, human agency, equity, inclusion, and so on. And this is very important because there are issues related to the bias of AI tools, and it's very important that when we are using artificial intelligence, we are not causing no harm to groups of students, groups of people that could be more vulnerable to these risks. And that's why ethics in literacy begins by acquiring these dimensions regarding understanding what is at stake, acknowledge what are the tools, and have an analysis, a risk analysis regarding the biases that are implicit in the use of AI tools. And if I want to give you a more, probably a representation about what is at stake regarding the application of ethical or the implication of implementation of ethical principles, we can see that there is always the need to keep a balance between what are the benefits of using AI and the risks, taking into account human agency, autonomy, and the biases that we have been speaking, and also ensuring non-discrimination in using or introducing the AI tools. There is also this idea that we need to build trust in the artificial intelligence systems so that we can use them in a way that they are transparent and it's possible and open in terms of access, and also take into account, and this is always very important, to see which tools and systems could be really integrated in education in a way that we keep a human-centered approach, we adapt AI tools to the context of education. They allow for a critical assessment of their use and also an assessment of the effectiveness of artificial intelligence. And in line with this, I am bringing now an example that we have been doing with the case study I mentioned before regarding pharmaceutical sciences. And the example I'm bringing here is the possibility to use artificial intelligence not to assess the students, because that would not be quite ethical, but to have a perspective focusing on this critical assessment, try to compare the extent to which an assessment of students done by AI, controlled by the teacher, could be or not an advantage or a benefit in that assessment. And very shortly, I will explain you how Fernando Remião did in his course and how it implemented this comparison between the assessment he did of the students' work, and the work the students performed was these digital objects that they produced with the incorporation of artificial intelligence in it. And Fernando compared the results of his assessment with the assessment of an AI tool. In this case, it was Gemini 3, the tool he used. These are the prompts that the teacher, Fernando Remião, used with this AI tool, asking to assess the students along these prompts. And the idea or the objective was to compare this evaluation done by Gemini with the application of the criteria defined by Fernando, and see if there are lots or if there were deviations between both assessments of the students' productions, the digital objects. So, comparing the assessments, the students' assessment, the Gemini assessment, and Fernando Remião assessment, what the conclusion is that there is a very high degree of alignment between the technical analysis done by Gemini and the final evaluation done by the teacher. And this probably is explained, and that's why the principle of being possible to explain the outcomes that artificial intelligence gives us is very important, probably are related to the prompts Fernando defined to achieve the results through or using Gemini in this comparison. So what we can say is that it was the criteria that the Gemini applied and the methodological approach that Fernando did in his assessment, and there is this degree of alignment shows that the AI can be used as a validation instrument, but always depending on the prompts that we make, so that the result can be interpreted according to that design of the prompt. So this is probably the most important conclusion. It's possible to compare. There is a high degree of alignment, but this degree of alignment is contingent to or dependent to the prompts the teacher asked the AI to perform the assessment. Now, just to give you also an opportunity to think by yourself about what could be the controversies, dilemmas, or issues that could that could appear, emerge regarding the use of artificial intelligence grading system applied to the assessment of students, it's very important, and the proposal is to think about these four perspectives. What could be the issues that could rise if we look of an artificial intelligence grading system to evaluate, to assess students from a human perspective, from a privacy or security perspective, cultural or linguistic relevance, or equity and inclusion. And if we want, or we can try to think about these issues in a way that puts an emphasis on different scenarios where we have different degrees of control regarding the technology, and the relevance of the specificities, for instance, of national cultures, traditions, languages, and so on. So when we have a scenario where the teacher is controlling the technology, which was the case that we have exemplified with the pharmaceutical sciences, and the exercise and the comparison Fernando Ramião did with his assessment, what we have here is a scenario where there is the teacher oversight and a manual or human review of the outcomes artificial intelligence is bringing forward, and the judgment, the assessment was human driven, as we have been emphasizing. So here there is high relevance of the national specificities and low control of technology over the teacher. But we can have a scenario where the machine is controlling, where the machine is driving the system, the assessment system, and there is a high technological control, and this means that algorithms and the automated scoring is produced with less relevance of or less participation of the teacher. And this means that when there is high control of technology, it is a system driven by the machine, where we have to be careful about how to guarantee an unbiased of the algorithms that put forward or give more relevance to specific ways of doing and expressions that promote a more hegemonic perspective about what culture is about, and not the specificities it has. In a system controlled by technology, the students tend to be ignored in a way that the specificities of the assessment could put at risk not only the data, but also privacy risks, as well cultural bias. And this means that we could have also an unfair system if we give if there is linguistic barriers that the technology could not take into account when the specificities of tradition and cultures are not taken into account. So this is a proposal just to discuss ethically how a grade system could be implemented or not with the support of artificial intelligence. So what we were aiming at with these examples, giving these examples and this food for thought in terms of thinking about ethical principles, the idea is that you now have a better understanding about the basic issues related to ethical issues, related to the principles required for human and AI interactions, including the values that are developed here, and also very relevant in the field of education.